I want to say thank you, but we're not quite done yet. But thank you for those insights. I think hopefully it has inspired someone listening to this as well to either become a mentee or actually to offer their help as a mentor as well. But as I said, we're not done yet. We do have the Virtually Anything Goes question. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with this is the Virtually Anything Goes question, where I hand over to Chelsey, who can ask me any question she likes. I don't know what that question is, but she can ask it and I will have to answer it no matter what it is. The only caveat, and I suppose my safety net, is that once I've given my answer, then Chelsey has to answer the same question as well herself. So with that, Chelsey, over to you. What is your Virtually Anything Goes question?
Amazing. Thank you, Lev. So I'm just going to preface it with something. So I work with people to, pitch for investment and to go out and, do public speaking and presentations, everything. And before we get to that stage, I always ask people, why do you do what you do? Because that frames and shapes everything, the whole presentation, the whole business. Why do you do what you do is the question.
Okay. So is this for the Virtually Anything Goes podcast, or is this for webinar experts?
Webinar experts.
Webinar experts. Okay. So initially, I didn't want to start webinar experts because I thought, well, webinars, I've done that for a while. I used to work in webinars for a different company, and I thought I would leave that behind and focus on marketing consultancy. But I was being pulled back into it again and again and again. People were saying, webinars so well, can you help us with it? So I thought, actually, you know what, I'll do this for a living and continue doing this for a living, but as my own company and with our own team. The reason we do it is because I believe that it is something that a lot of companies need. A lot of companies perhaps don't necessarily have the time or inclination to do themselves, but it is so important that it is done well, because the results of running digital engagement for audiences online is incredibly important. Everything is digital, and we help companies do it better, and help them take the load off and give expertise in return, so that actually it is done well, and we feel passionately about it. And when we see examples where perhaps there could be an improvement, we feel compelled to want to make a change and make it better, because ultimately I think we're all digital consumers. We all look for information and entertainment and content online, and when we feel it could be done better, then we typically judge it by our own standards of, well, how would I like to consume this, and what I would like to see, and what would make me engage with this content more. So we use our own preferences, our own judgment of what would work for me to make it better for companies wanting to do the same, because ultimately it creates a conversation that way, rather than just a give and take, or perhaps even just a take in some cases, where digital content is published and actually in return data is just taken. Here's something, give me your data. And that's not fair. That's not fair to the audience, because they will spend time and commit time to consuming this content and sitting perhaps on a webinar for an hour, or consuming multiple webinars for multiple hours, and they deserve in return something that is valuable to them. And if we can help people create that value for their audience, and their audience appreciate that and give back time and in some cases insights on their data and so on as well, then I think we're creating an environment where it's mutually beneficial. And that comes, I think, ultimately down to what I see as marketing is a mutually beneficial relationship. We offer something, we get something in return, and that, I think, is ultimately the way the world will continue to evolve and work, is when we are mutually beneficial to each other. I guess a bit like mentoring as well.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I guess I have to find out as well. Why do you do what you do with the Virtually Anything Goes podcast? Why are you here giving up your time in the middle of your day? Why do you do what you do here on the podcast?
It's enjoyable. It's we had our series 1, which was all about live digital communications, things that we do as for a living, and getting people on to talk about why they are public speakers, why they how they generate value and how they serve their customers and so on. Now in our second series, which we're in now, the expert series, we're bringing on experts from a variety of different areas, and I think we do it because we want to highlight not just the expertise, but actually share that information. And I'm personally interested in these stories. The reason I've brought you and all the other guests on is because I'm interested in your story and what you do, and I'm genuinely intrigued to see how it works and what makes you an expert and how things work. And I feel if I'm interested in it, then surely other people must be as well. So I think providing that content, making it available, highlighting it, showing it, perhaps pulling the curtain to one side and just having a look and see how it works behind the scenes, I think it's just incredibly interesting and intriguing, and I enjoy that. And of course, hopefully we get a large audience agreeing and listening to it as well, and get a big following. That's obviously part of it as well. But ultimately, I'm interested in people's stories. I want to share that information if they're happy to share it as well, and create great content. I think there is a lot of content out there that is interesting, and I think we can add to it.
Amazing. Great answer. Thank you.
But thank you for the question. It's a great question, and not one we had before. So appreciate you thinking of that one. I will turn it over to you though. The same question back to you. Why do you do what you do?
Well, I guess if we're talking about National Mentoring Day, I never had a mentor. I didn't want anyone else to go through the struggles that I did when I was starting out with my businesses. So I think it's that seeing a problem and creating a solution around it. The fact that I was also so busy mentoring all these hundreds of companies, I'm like, where are all the people in the world that care, who want to pay it forward and help other people? So, out of these problems, came the solution. So I do it because mentoring changes lives. It saves lives. It helps businesses survive, to grow, communities to flourish, and that's what we need in the world. We need this connectedness. I've done some work with the United Nations, and I say that all the Sustainable Development Goals, they can all be greatly, impacted and positively, achieved with mentoring. It's the answer to, some of the biggest societal issues in the world is mentoring. So it's like I say, it's very, very serious. And I just think that we don't know everything. We don't know anything sometimes. It's like, let's all start to look out for each other. We've all got so much experience and wisdom and knowledge that we can use to positively impact someone's life. And it really is the gift that keeps on giving. I'm a serial mentor, and I know many other serial mentors now. And we just say, it's like, my purpose, I can't function unless I'm mentoring. I live for mentoring. It's just wonderful. So yeah, that's my why.
It's an incredibly positive mindset, and I think we all know what's going on around the world, and we see it in the media. And I think that kind of mindset is so refreshingly positive, that I can completely see why you have that why. And I do hope genuinely that folks listening to this will think, actually, you know what, I'll give it a go. I will either ask for a mentor, try and find a mentor, or I will become a mentor myself. And I think what was brilliant, what I loved about what you shared was actually, it doesn't really matter the seniority that you have. You don't have to be a CEO or managing director or somebody who's kind of sold and exited 2 companies, 3 companies to be able to mentor. You can, what you said about reverse mentoring and different cross-generational kind of applications there as well. I think it's incredibly positive and valuable, and I genuinely hope, and I would implore anybody watching this, if you feel the need or the desire to want to mentor or become a mentee, reach out. Obviously, National Mentoring Day is a great starting point. So many organizations involved with that. Perhaps it's even possible within your own organization as well. And if you're running an organization and it's not there yet, perhaps look at a program as well. So, Chelsey, thank you so much for sharing your insights and for being part of this episode. I've absolutely loved everything you had to say, and getting that insight into something that I have to admit I genuinely didn't know a huge amount about, and I do feel like I know a lot more about it now. So thank you so much for sharing your time and your insights. It's been great to have you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for a great interview. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you to our audience for listening and watching, as always. If you liked what you saw in this episode, we have plenty more coming and plenty more available already. Subscribe so you don't miss any of those great episodes that are still to come, but do take a look back as well and see what we've already covered. But thank you in the meantime for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time.